Okay, I'm going to give you some little known information.
Okay,
Just for the Jeff Bros podcast. So
I like
we
it.
were, of course, 16 players invited from different parts of the world, and
Yeah.
we were not told who's going to be on the show. So it was a huge secret. Nobody knew who else is going to be there. Of course, you're friends with some of them, so you kind of know they're going to be there. We were all put in the same hotel, but we weren't allowed to interact before the show. So even if we bump into anyone at breakfast, that's fine. They can't be too strict about it, but we couldn't make plans because, of course, some of us knew each other. We were forbidden from making any plans, and there was all this suspense. And it actually, the filming got delayed by a day or two
Mhm.
because Daniel Negreanu got caught up with making some final table casually, some huge final table, and so he couldn't fly immediately. So we had to delay the filming for a day. So it was just an extra day in isolation,
Right.
not knowing what lies ahead, not knowing who's on the show, what's gonna happen, what the
Yeah.
format is. No idea. We were just told that we are gonna fly you to Korea, South Korea, and that's it. And we just went.
That,
So it was quite unnerving, and I feel that is an aspect, the suspense and the fact that the players were completely in the dark is an aspect that hasn't really come out yet from the show, even though there was some mention in the first episode, but it's really adds to the excitement of what we were facing there.
what was going through your head when you did release the ace queen hand here when you folded ace queen?
Honestly, I am. Everyone is shell shocked, and I don't think it's that shocking. And believe me when I say I'm not a nit. Anyone who knows me or has played with me, has interacted with me, knows I am way more on the aggressive side. Although I don't want to give that away because now I have this beautiful image. But for me, ICM concentrations were ridiculously high. You have to consider that we were not disclosed the format of the next round. We were not disclosed the point system of the next round. We were just told that this is supposed to be the first round, and it will hold the lowest points. But we weren't told the distribution of the points or the system. And for me to be eliminated first for my team would mean the lowest points and the lowest uh, round with, I mean, the cheapest round and the lowest points. And I never wanted to get into an ICM situation like that where the chip leader has opened and the shortest stack has jammed, and I'm somewhere in the middle and I'm just rejamming ace queen when there's such a huge chance for the chip
Yeah.
leader to just flick it in for the short stack. It's not a lot of chips, and just see an elimination go down there as mid stack. I really think it's not that shocking. It's funny you brought up Squid Games because Squid Games was, of course, the inspiration for the show that, people are just dying out and there's only one person standing. And the prize pool of 459,000 US dollars is the same amount that was up for grabs in Squid Games. And that's another little
456, right? Is it 456?
for 456, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
$456,000 is the exact amount that Squid Games had up for grabs, and that's where that weird figure comes from in the prize pool. So Squid
That's
Games is the inspiration.
and your bracelet. Tell me what that's like because it was kind of unique. I mean, it's a tag team event, so you do end up
Yeah.
winning it with a joint partner, which is a very not normal, right? Because this is a format they introduced. I've done it a few times.
Yeah.
It's fun. You kind of do it, and when you start out, it almost feels like yeah, it's just for fun and we're gonna have a good time. But when did that become real that you could win it? And could you tell me a little bit about your partner?
Right. So I did not, I hadn't ever interacted with my partner ever before playing this tournament with him. I put a post up on Twitter saying I don't have anyone to play with. Is anyone interested? And he actually liked my tweet. He didn't even say yes, no. He was just scrolling
Wow,
Twitter
that's
probably.
amazing. That's
I,
an amazing story.
yeah.
Wow.
We, I mean, we played together on a few tables or whatever, and then just he was probably one of my only likes that was still in Vegas. So I just asked him, "Do you want to play?" He's like, "Nah, I mean, I'm playing the 5K. There's just $500. I don't want to waste my time." I said, "Just register with me and just go do your thing. That's fine. You go play your 5K." So He's like, okay, whatever. And then he just registered with me and he completely went AWOL. So I ended up playing no, sorry. I got that wrong. Rewind, yes. So I told him just register. You play day one and I will take over for you in day two when the 5K begins. So
Right.
5K was beginning the next day. So I said, you play here, then I'll just play through after that or I'll take over later because I was running deep in the 3K that
Okay.
time. And then I went on to actually run really deep in the 3K and bust 17th. And I remember because the tag team had no breaks and Giuseppe wanted breaks. And so in my breaks from the 3K, in which I'm on day three, I'm actually running from hall to hall in my breaks and taking over from him and then
Yeah.
going back. And then finally I busted day three, whatever, 17th. And then I took over day two of the tag team, and then we just
Yeah.
ended up really running it up. And then suddenly we're on the final table and we end up winning it. Very, very unreal, very early on in my career.
You just fresh off your last score is basically almost a six-figure score, getting final 100 out of 10,000 in the main event. How was that experience? Because I've had two deep runs. I've gotten like 220th, and that's, the room's small and you can feel it's real. How did it feel with 96 left? How was that to be down to less than 100 this year? This was
Oh
just
my
now.
God. At this point, I have almost a decade of playing poker, serious poker, high stakes poker, and live poker. But nothing prepared me for this experience. It was so stressful. And when they say the main event is a marathon, it really is a marathon because you have to go at it day after day after day on the same schedule. Um, just the stakes keep increasing, the pressure keeps increasing, and because I was one of only two women left in that final 100, final 1%, and I had the chip lead for I think 3 days running, top 10 chip stacks. I just had all that attention on social media with the WSOP team, with the staff. They put me on the feature table 2 days running, and actually, on the second day, I went and requested that please don't put me on the feature table again. I haven't slept because I had too much caffeine the previous night and too much
Wow.
stress and nerves. And I was like, please, not today, just for some time. Just let me play my game. I'm playing for $12 million. And they weren't having it. Zero sympathy.
Wow. What was it like when you got knocked out, and what was that hand? Because that is that, like, to be so close, you're kind of just like what, 5 6 days to have you're playing, you're in it, and all of a sudden it's just like bang, I'm out. And then you're like, wow, okay, I get a good score, but there's literally $12 million, for maybe running good for 10 more
I
hours
know.
or 20 more hours of like just surviving. What was that feeling, and what was the hand?
It absolutely crushed me. Even though I was under so much pressure, I was having so much fun. I was having the time of my life.
Yeah.
And because I had like a whole mountain of chips in front of me and I knew exactly what to do. And I just lost two or three massive hands back to back. I lost a coin flip and then another setup. And then I did make a mistake. I'm not saying I didn't, but the rest of it was just setups or losing coin flips. And eventually, I lost with ace queen to ace king, and there was a queen on the turn for my tournament life. And it was particularly painful because I had the exact same situation for the WPT main event in Vegas area for the trophy. So I am heads up against a UK reg, and I cover him by just a little, and we both go all in with. He has ace queen, and I have ace king, and there was a queen on the turn, and so it was just a torturous, painful deja vu moment. So
Yeah.
that's exactly how I felt. The trauma of that losing the title there came back all up, and it was so dejected, and they
Yeah.
wanted to do an exit interview, and I was just like. I was just like a zombie walking around with my brain not functioning. Of course, the exhaustion also really takes over.
Yeah.
I feel poker really makes you aware of the existence of variance in all of life. All of life is in a state of probability. There's a probability of every event happening at any time. And it really makes you realize the it empowers you as well as makes you realize how small you are in the grander scheme of things, because you realize that as long as you are doing your best, the outcomes are not in your hand. So your job is basically to keep doing the best that you can possibly do, and then leave the rest up to the probabilistic nature of the universe. And that is something that really transmutes into every area of life and really makes you a lot calmer, because then you're like, every disaster that happened is not actually because of you, as long as you are true to yourself and doing the best that you can. So that is definitely one of the things. Another thing is just the idea of stress and pressure, just completely, you have a completely different perspective of stress and pressure when you play poker, and then you face stress and pressure in life, what people are stressed about or feeling pressure about, and then you're like, you face the same situation, and because you felt the stresses and pressures of poker, that same situation is so easy to navigate for you. Like, you don't get bogged down, you don't shut down, you think clearly through that situation. And I think poker really teaches you to handle pressure really well, teaches you how to
Yeah.
be detached from outcomes, teaches you also that this is a really interesting one, because it teaches you that the short term versus long term. Like, in the short term, people will slip, but consistency always wins. And as long as you are in on an overall growth curve, then you're doing fine. Because in the short term, your curve can look like this, but as long as it's going like that, it's all pretty good. And I think really focus on the long term and see where you are today as compared to where you were, say, 5 years ago, instead of thinking of where you're not.